One of the biggest coworker compatibility, coworker dynamics, ahas that comes up pretty consistently, almost every Enneagram workshop that I've done, is some aha around their teammates' preferences or potentially pet peeves around small talk. And what I mean exactly is this: there are some people, some types specifically, that are going to appreciate or potentially even need that rapport building small talk more so than others. And what that might look like is, you know, hi, how are you? How was your day? How was your weekend? What plans do you have for the weekend? How's your cat? How's your kids? How's that race training going? Have you read any good books, seen any fun movies on Netflix? Just that type of kind of small talk that can feel meaningless to other people, but is really important to build some sort of connection. And you'll see that a lot with our type twos, which makes sense, striving to feel connected. You'll see that maybe with our fours who really value authenticity, are more comfortable with a kind of a slower pace. Understanding how people are feeling, how they're feeling is really important. So you might, see that connection, those conversations being appreciated by those types. Now we're talking stereotypically, so this doesn't mean that all type twos that are this way, but something to be aware of. Now the flip side of that is getting frustrated with the small talk and feeling like it's a waste of time, or feeling like, slowing down the conversation, getting us off track. Now I'm behind on my whole day because now this meeting's going to go over because we had a conversation about everybody's weekend, and that can feel really frustrating when you feel like you have a lot to accomplish, a lot to get done, when you really value efficiency. And you'll see that a lot with stereotypically our type threes. Efficiency is one of the pillars for them. Again, not all, but a lot of times that will be kind of the what you see of a three. Ones might feel that way a little bit. Fives, who are very hesitant to get emotionally entangled, so they may not want to even touch the question, how was your weekend, in the event that it takes off into a big long story or something bad happened and now they have to sit there and, go through it. Not to say that any of these types don't appreciate these types of conversations. It just tends to be preferences. And so, regardless of somebody's type, understanding how they feel about small talk, specifically around coming into a one on one or coming in to start a meeting, so that okay, this is kind of my preference, or this is my pet peeve, but I know that this is really important to my coworker. So if you happen to be a type three, a type A, a five, a one, or any type that doesn't necessarily love the small talk, the hi, how are yous, but you know that the person you're about to sit down with, or the person who's going to be maybe joining in your meeting, does, and that means a lot to them, and you care about this relationship with that teammate. Maybe you make the meeting 10 or 15 minutes longer so that everybody has a chance to touch base, to connect, which in today's world where many of us are working remotely, maybe hybrid, or just, we're a little less connected, many of us, than we used to be. That could be a good practice, right? That could be a great practice, whether that tends to be your preference or not. But what's going to happen is if you add that to your calendar, add in that buffer time, you're going to maybe, hopefully, feel a little bit more, be, have a little bit more capacity to be present and to engage in that conversation, because you're not checking your watch necessarily thinking, oh gosh, this is taking us off track. It's like, no, it's in there. It's buffered. I put it in there. It's part of the calendar. We're going to spend 15 minutes, everybody getting to share something personal or whatever they want to talk about. And then we can go on. Now, if you tend to be somebody who really values that, but you're about to sit down with somebody who likes to get straight to the point, hey, I don't have to take offense to this necessarily. It's nothing against me. They maybe have a jam-packed day, and they just are focused on whatever we need to talk about, whatever we need to get done in this conversation, in this meeting. And so I'm going to leave my hi, how are yous? I'm going to make sure I have those conversations with somebody else, or I'm going to leave those for now, and just jump right into it with this person. So regardless of the type, at the end of the day, it's about that person in front of you, understanding, taking the time to understand, whether it's through observation, things that you notice, or just directly asking. And so one of the things that we'll do inside of our Enneagram workshops is assign a how to work with me blueprint. And yes, there are some questions around the Enneagram, having had gone through a workshop, your language is going to be a little bit deeper, maybe a little bit wider. You're going to have some insight about yourself, about others that maybe you wouldn't have had. But you can do this with anybody, with anybody, that whether you know their Enneagram type or not, and just simply noticing, simply asking, hey, you know, how do you feel about small talk? And there's all types of little micro situations that can cause friction, or that can create a deeper connection where you're more productive, where the workplace is more harmonious in all of these little micro situations. And so the more that you can take the time to see how you show up and what that impact might be on others, and then what others prefer or don't, the more those little those little situations can work for the good, move the team forward, move the organization forward, help you in your career advancement, whatever that might be. And sometimes this feels like such a surface level thing. It's like, I mean, do you like to start the conversation off with how was your weekend, or not? I mean, how is this going to be meaningful? But that is just the start of paying attention to what you do and prefer, and then how that might be different, or similar to your coworkers, so you kind of know who and where to maybe shift some things in order to have those happy, healthy, hopefully productive relationships at work. If this type of insight is something you are interested in bringing to your team, if having a conversation around how to use the Enneagram in the workplace, having conversations about how to start conversations about workplace preferences and coworker compatibility, is of interest to you, I'm going to invite you to check out our workshop, our programming opportunities over at enneagrammba.com. And with that, thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you again soon.